Hey there, this is Alnar Harnish from Leelee Knits Knitting and Crochet. In this video tutorial, I'm going to teach you how to create the little squares that comprise my bloom afghan. You can find the pattern for this afghan on my website, www.leeleeknits.com. By the end of round one, we should have a circle that looks like this guy over here. And I'm going to show you how to create the circle, assuming that you know how to do the basics of crochet. So I'm assuming that you already know how to do a chain and a double crochet and a slip stitch. So I'm not going to teach you that stuff all over again, but there are plenty of tutorials out there that do teach that if you want to know how. We'll get started by creating a foundation ring. I'm going to make a slip knot. And then chain 4 and join my first chain to my last chain with a slip stitch. It's a little tricky, but it's not impossible. So there we go. You just have to get that yarn out of the way and then kind of find the middle by using your hook. So just like bury it in there, and there you go. And then to start, I'm going to chain 4. And this chain 4 counts as the first double crochet and chain 1 space. And then I'm going to make a double crochet in the center of the foundation ring and chain 1 to create the second double crochet, chain 1 space, and then repeat that all the way around. Just so we're clear here though, we have 2 here. We have our first one was our chain 4, and our second one is actually a double crochet and a chain 1 space. And we want a total of 12 of these all the way around. So I'm just going to work them all the way around until I have 12. Double crochet, chain 1 space. I'm just going to count to see how many I have so far. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So I need one more. And then I join my last chain 1 space to the third chain from where I started, which is the top of our first double crochet. 1, 2, 3. I'm just going to fasten off, cut the yarn, oops. And you can see we have a total of 12 double crochets separated by chain 1 spaces. I'm just going to weave in my ends and then I'll show you how to do round 2 just to make it cleaner for you guys. By the end of round 2, you should have something that looks like this. So it's 12 clusters separated by chain 2 spaces. And the chain 2 spaces are just required for the math so that it adds up to make a circle. So to get started, I'm just going to pick any spot in my circle in my first round, anywhere in between where we have a chain 1 space. It doesn't really matter where, just randomly pick a spot. And the way I connect my yarn is I grab it in one hand and then I insert my hook into the space and pull up a loop like that. And then when you weave in the ends, it will just secure everything. So you don't have to worry that it's a little bit loose. That's just how I do it. You can do a slip knot if you want, but I feel like this looks tidier in the end. So I'm going to chain 2 and then work a 2 double crochet cluster in the same spot. This is how you make a 2 double crochet cluster. Yarn around the hook, insert your hook in the space and pull through 1 loop, yarn around the hook and then pull it through 2 of the loops on the hook. So you'll have 2 loops remaining. And then we repeat this 1 more time. So yarn around your hook, insert your hook into the same space, pull through a loop, and then pull that loop through 2 of the loops on the hook. And there's a total of 3 loops remaining on the hook. And now to secure the cluster, all we need to do is put the yarn around the hook and then pull it through all 3 loops remaining. And we have a 2 double crochet cluster. So the remaining clusters are going to actually be full clusters. A 2 double crochet cluster is kind of like a smaller cluster. And the reason I did that is because we started when we connected our yarn with a 2 chain, and that kind of looks like part of the cluster. So if we did a full cluster, this first one would just look too full. So I'm going to chain 2 and then work my next cluster, which is a full cluster. So it's basically what I just did, but we just do 1 more repeat. So yarn around my hook and then insert it into the space and pull through a loop, and then yarn around the hook and pull it through 2 of the loops on the hook, and then repeat this 2 more times. So yarn around my hook, insert it in the space, pull through a loop, yarn around my hook, and then pull through 2 loops on the hook. So I have 3 loops on my hook. And then I do this 1 more time to complete my cluster. So yarn around my hook, insert, pull through a loop, yarn around my hook, pull through 2 of the loops on the hook. And there are 4 loops left on my hook. And to complete my cluster, I'm just gonna yarn around my hook and pull it through all 4 remaining loops on the hook. And that's a cluster. So I'm gonna chain 2 and repeat creating clusters all the way around until I have 12 clusters separated by chains of 2. You'll get pretty fast at this after making a few squares. Don't forget your last chain 2 at the end there. Oops, I split my yarn. And then I'm going to secure my last chain 2 to the top of my first cluster with a slip stitch. And then I'm going to cut my yarn. Okay, so now we have a nice circle that we want to convert into a square to finish it off. And to do that, we just pick a random spot and join our next yarn color. So I'll insert my hook just into any random spot in the chain 2 space and take my yarn and pull up a loop like so. And then we just start working with our, I guess, one of the top corners. So the first thing you need to do is chain 5. So I'll chain 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Ooh, my bottom one is really loose, so I'm just gonna tighten it up like so. So we have 5 chains. So what this actually is the last double crochet of our square, followed by the 2 chains that make up the corner of the square. So you'll see what I mean by the time we work our way around, or you can also refer to the diagram of the square, which kind of makes it a little bit more obvious what I'm doing here. So just stick with me and follow along. So I've chained 5, and now I'm going to work 3 double crochets into that same spot. Oops. The yarn is getting in the way. So I did 2 and then 3. So this is kind of like the top part of our square, top corner. So when we finished, our square is going to look like this will be the top corner, and then this chain 3 will be actually part of this side of the square. So I'm going to chain 1 and then work 3 double crochets in our next space. And then chain 1 again, and then work 3 double crochets in our next space. So this is the top of our square. It's really quite neat how it transforms before your eyes from a circle into a square. So now I have the top of our square, and I'm going to work on this next part here. Will be our top left corner of our square. So to do that, I've chained 1 already after these 3 double crochets, and then I work 3 double crochets into our next space. Whoops. 1, 2, 3, and then chain 2. That's kind of like where our square turns, and then work 3 more to start off our next side of our square. This is where the magic happens. See? We're turning our circle into a square. Ta-da! So chain 1, and then I work along the top again. So the next 2 chain spaces are just 3 double crochets in each. And now I'm going to work our next corner. So again, we work 3 double crochets in our next space. Oops. 2. Oh, what am I doing? 3, like that. And then we do our chain 2 for our turning of our corner, and then work 3 more into the same space. As you can see, our square is really coming along here. Oops, hands are slippery today. Okay, so now we have 2 and a bit of our sides of our square. So I'll continue along, work 3 double crochets into our next 2 spaces. So 3 in this one, followed by a chain, and then 3 in the next one, followed by a chain, and then we work our next corner. So 3 double crochet, chain 2, and then 3 more double crochet in the same space. So we have 3 sides and we just need to finish off our square. Just repeating the pattern. And you can refer to the diagram. It's pretty clear when you see a picture of it what you're supposed to be doing. This tutorial is just to walk you through it. And this thread is just from the beginning there. Oops. Okay, so now we're going to finish off our square. So when we started, I did a 5 chain at the beginning, and I said that it would all make sense by the end, and it does. So you can see that we have 3 chains here. That's our double crochet, followed by 2 chains, which is our turning space that we've been making in every corner of our square. So all we need to do here is add 2 more double crochets to this beginning space that we had worked in, and then this chain 3 here will work as our last double crochet. Oops, I was gonna make 3. Okay, so I've made 2. And then this guy is just like our last one there. So I'm gonna join with a slip stitch. So we count 1, 2, 3 chains up. So that's the top of our first double crochet. And then join with a slip stitch, like so. And then get some scissors and pull our yarn through to secure our knot, and we have our square. So all you need to do is weave in your ends and then create a bunch of squares.